Hey everybody, it's Mike Young, lifestyle nutritionist with Denise, my wife. She's got all the information, and this is a really good, comprehensive video that we're gonna do here on oil, which is like, I think, the worst, well, the title of this article is about it's the worst food, but I think it's like the ultimate junk food, okay? And it's very comprehensive. We're gonna go through it fast, but it's gonna be a long video, and you're gonna wanna share this, because everyone always asks, what's wrong with oil? What could possibly be wrong with oil? It's all these benefits, right? There's nothing wrong with oil. All right, Denise, what's the title of the article?
Is vegetable oil bad for you? The science behind the worst food in human history.
Okay, before we go on, the worst food in human history, I want to mention that I talk about this a lot in my book, Live to 150 at liveto150.org. It's totally free, 150 chapters, all kinds of lifestyle habits, and what was that? I guess it got wet. I don't know what that was. Lifestyle habits like us walking, doing our daily walk, and this is a purposeful walk. We're gonna make a video for you guys. And anyway, it's about living long, living high quality life, and it's totally free, liveto150.org. And in my commercial. All right, Denise, here we go.
Is vegetable oil bad for you? In a word, yes, but we never expect you to just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Together, we'll follow the science and explore the various ways that vegetable oil wreaks havoc on your physical health, mental health, and the health of our planet. Most of these negative impacts are ignored and hidden by popular media and mainstream nutrition.
Of course.
It's high time to pull back the curtain on this devastating dietary and agricultural trend. What are vegetable oils? Vegetable oil is a somewhat misleading name. Most vegetable oils are actually extracted from seeds and grains in an energy-intensive industrial process. Popular so-called vegetable oils include soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, canola, peanut, rice bran, grapeseed, and cottonseed oil.
Okay, let me mention here that I mentioned this in my book. You will never find a bottle of oil in nature, okay? Now, all plants contain fat, which is actually oil. There's a tiny trace of oil in each plant, but it's never in the oil form, like in a bottle, like totally, the oil where you can lubricate an engine with. That has to be totally processed by a machine. So go ahead.
Though non-existent for the vast majority of human dietary evolution, vegetable oils are in nearly all processed foods, used as cooking oil at most restaurants, and hidden within processed foods billed as healthy, including popular alternatives oat, almond, and soy milk. Yep,
that's right. I've mentioned this before. Oat is the best tasting milk. It's the most realistic, but it has, you know why? It's because it has oil added to the milk. Look at the ingredients.
Yeah. Why vegetable oil is bad for you? Fast facts. The question is vegetable oil bad for you? It is more important than ever. Here's a rundown of why. Number one, rates of chronic inflammatory diseases like heart disease, asthma, cancer, and diabetes have increased 700% since 1935.
Holy crap.
Number two, today 6 in 10 Americans have a chronic inflammatory disease.
6 in 10.
Number 3, heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide. 4, yet we are smoking less, drinking less, and exercising more.
We are?
5.
People that I know are not exercising more. Not if we're talking about aerobic exercise. That's all I gotta say. Unless we know people in run clubs and they run, but most everybody else doesn't move.
Gyms keep popping up everywhere.
They do, because you feel good. No one ever actually uses their membership, but they pay for it.
We're eating more so-called healthy fruits and vegetables and less red meat. We're consuming less healthy yet demonized saturated fat and salt. And as a replacement for saturated fats from whole food animal sources, vegetable oil now accounts for 20% of our daily calories.
Holy shit. Well, it is the most calorically dense food. So if you want a low-cost way to get a lot of calories, unfortunately it's 100% fat, then you go with oil, right? That's what the restaurants use it. That's why restaurant food is most of it's poison, really. I talk about this in the book too, and you got to ask for some of that oil. And even we do it, like in some of the Chinese places, but a lot of times the oil's in the sauce at the Chinese places, like the garlic sauce.
Yeah,
and I feel like crap after I eat it.
They can't take it out.
Yeah.
From 1909 to 1999, the per capita consumption of vegetable oils in America and across the globe have increased by over 2,000%. Vegetable oils have been shown to increase risk of death by 62%. This is a greater effect than heavy drinking or moderate smoking. Worldwide, vegetable oils are a leading driver of deforestation and climate change. Vegetable oils emit more greenhouse gases per kilogram than any other major crop.
Yep.
And vegetable oils account for up to 30% of global agricultural land use, but provide less than a 0.1% of our vital macronutrients.
Yeah, it's totally, all the nutrition almost is removed. The only thing that remains is the high caloric density and the 100% fat. You know, the plant never started out to be 100% fat, but it turns into it when you turn it into oil form. It's bad.
If we're following mainstream health guidelines to eliminate saturated fats and eat more plant foods, then why are rates of chronic inflammatory diseases surging? What's the single variable increasing alongside the diseases that kill most people across the modern world? Vegetable oil. But correlation does not equal causation, so let's explore the science. Now, this is the Israeli paradox. The Israeli paradox offers an insightful frame for investigating the question, is vegetable oil bad for you? Israeli people consume a diet that is almost perfectly aligned with the recommendations of the U.S. nutritional experts, quote unquote.
Experts? You mean the people appointed by the lobbyists of the food industry?
Yeah. The Israeli diet is low in total fat and saturated fat, and their intake of PUFA-rich vegetable oils.
Oh, there we go.
Higher.
Ooh, okay.
What's PUFA-rich?
I don't know, but it's Mediterranean. It's like olive oil and stuff like that, right?
Probably.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's higher than the amount consumed in other Western countries. Yet, in their rates of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and other modern illnesses are on par with the U.S., and their cancer rates, especially among women, are higher. The quandary of a population following dietary recommendations while exhibiting negative health markers has led many researchers to suggest that the high intake of inflammatory omega-6 PUFA from vegetable oils is to blame.
Yeah, there you go.
So
makes sense to me.
There's this chart of linoleic acid in vegetable oil, and some of them are rarely high, like 78% average percentage of linoleic acid. That's in cauliflower oil, grapeseed oil, poppy seed oil, and there are a bunch of other seed oils on the list.
Bad. It's bad stuff. Let me know in the comments what your favorite oil is, and let me know how soon you plan on getting rid of it and not using it ever again.
Most vegetable oils are high in an omega-6 PUFA called linoleic acid, making them a highly inflammatory food. Linoleic acid is a precursor for a pro-inflammatory molecule called arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is itself the precursor for a biological pathway that creates over 20 pro-inflammatory carcinoids.
All right, let's also mention here that we talk about acid. I talk about in the book too the difference between acid loaded type foods and alkaline. Okay, and you want to move away from acidic foods and towards alkaline foods. And obviously, this sounds like the ultimate acidic food. Oil.
I thought Mike always wanted to avoid oil because it's the most fat-laden of all.
Well, it is. That's one of the things, right?
It's 9 calories per gram, whereas protein is, what, 4?
Yeah, but now you're finding there's all kinds of other things too, right?
It's inflammatory.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to read this, because this article is, you need to stick to the facts, and you're not going to hear this printed on the back of your package of whatever protein bar with lots of oil or whatever it is that you're drinking, your almond or your oat milk with oil. But Denise is going to tell it to you.
Eicosanoids are molecules that signal the body's immune system to react to perceived damage. They are at the root of many chronic inflammatory diseases. Without a balancing anti-inflammatory influence from the omega-3 PUFA, these eicosanoids can trigger an increased in chronic inflammation or autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases are characterized by an overreaction of your body's own immune system, resulting in damage to healthy tissues.
All right, we've talked about this. We even had at Naples Veg Fest last year an expert from PCRM, and she talked about how basically a hypersensitivity to saturated fat caused, what was the condition she has? MS, right? Yeah, multiple sclerosis. That very well may be that people who have multiple sclerosis just have a hypersensitivity to saturated fats, and they have to completely eliminate saturated fats from their diet. And of course, what's high in saturated fat? What's the greatest thing you can have that has lots of saturated fat that you find in almost everything you eat?
Oil.
Yeah, it's bad.
The following clinical studies support the hypothesis that vegetable oil is bad for you and is likely a key factor in the rise of modern diseases, including cancer, all-cause mortality, heart disease, infertility, obesity, mood disorders, including depression and anxiety, and neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
All right, and let's mention that any kind of plant-based products, there's some squirrels over here. Take a look at them on our walk. See them over there, squirrels? Yeah, any kind of plant-based products that you get, almost all of them have oil in them, okay? It's crazy. This stuff's not health food. We just did a video yesterday on cancer and why you should avoid animal products so that you solve most of your digestive system cancers, right? But they didn't even talk about this, cancer from the oil. And that's in all the plant-based products.
All those faux meats have oil.
Yeah, that's why you got to eat the food as grown, organic food as grown, even raw, okay? Is better than cooked because you don't have other cancer stuff in there. And of course, when you don't cook, there's no chance of you putting oil into it to cook it. So that's even better.
So on cancer, vegetable and seed oils have been shown to cause oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and genetic damage. Not coincidentally, these are also key factors in promoting cancer.
Yep.
In this 2009 study, mice with implanted tumors were divided into groups fed a diet high in numerous fatty acids. The mice fed with linoleic fatty acids demonstrated metastasis, the spread of cancer, 4 times higher than the rodent groups fed monosaturated fatty acids like you have in olive oil and saturated fatty acids prevalent in red meat. So the cancer was worse with the vegetable oil than it was with the mice who ate olive oil and red meat.
That's bad.
A 2010 study found that mice, I think they mean fed, it says bed, with soybean oil that had been heated in a deep fryer showed 4 times greater cancer metastasis than mice fed unheated oil. So
when you heat it, it gets even worse. Yeah. It goes from bad to worse.
Yeah. Then we combine the data from these 2 mouse studies. We can infer that deep-fried vegetable oil may cause 16 times or 1,600% greater cancer growth than healthy saturated fats.
1,600%?
Yeah, greater than growth than more than animal sources.
Than animal sources of saturated fat.
Yeah.
So the plant-based sources of saturated fat are worse for you, like dramatically worse than the animal. And all saturated fat's bad, right? So this is just like exponentially worse. Yeah. That's ridiculous. It's crazy.
So don't eat French fries.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Another study showed that tumors formed once rats consumed 20% of their fat from the form of linoleic acid. Recall here that vegetable oils now make up not just 20% of our fat intake, but our entire caloric intake.
Wait, say that again? What is that? I'm lost.
Another study showed that tumors formed once rats consumed 20% of their fat in the form of linoleic acid. Recall here that vegetable oils now make up not just 20% of our fat intake, but our entire caloric intake is from vegetable oils. It's a citation from the study. I'm
Okay,
not following
I
it.
don't know. I don't get it. Let us know in the comments if you get it. But go ahead, keep going.
In line with the studies above, a 2010 study on mice showed that increasing intake of corn oil, but not saturated fats, promoted prostate cancer. Corn oil.
Well, it's all the same mechanism. It's all bad. It's fat, it's saturated fat, it's acid load. It's all that wrapped up into one, sounds like. So
In the same study, the researchers found that not only did vegetable oil increase risk of cancer, a low-fat diet showed no benefits in reducing cancer risk when compared to a diet high in saturated fats, but not PUFAs from vegetable oil.
yeah, well, saturated fat is bad. We know that. So and the any of the oils have, well, not any of them, but a lot of them have high levels of saturated fat. But so does coconut milk, has high levels of saturated fat. So be careful of that as well. Anything that's really high in fat is a problem, like coconut milk and like all the oils basically.
In the classic Los Angeles Veterans Administration study, participants were split into two groups. One group increased percentage of total fat intake from vegetable oil. For the control group, there was no change in the type or quantity of fat intake, and both groups consumed the same amount of total fat. So, alarmingly, at this point, to be expected, the vegetable oil group was 82% more likely to die from cancer. Though the groups were randomly assigned, the control group, the non-vegetable oil group, ended up having twice as many heavy smokers. Yet, even with more smokers, this group had significantly fewer deaths from cancer.
So oil is worse than smoking.
Yeah. In the major 2013 Sydney Diet Heart Study, researchers separated study participants into two groups. Like the study above, the total fat intake of both groups was the same. Yet for one group, the primary type of fat was linoleic acid from vegetable oil and margarine. The other group got most of their fat from butter, oil, and fatty meat. Everything else about the diets and lifestyles of these two groups remained unchanged. Over 7 years of monitoring, the vegetable oil group had a 62% greater all-cause mortality rate. Of all known risk factors, only morbid obesity and smoking are more likely to kill you than vegetable oils. To add more perspective, the vegetable oil was shown to be more deadly than a sedentary lifestyle and heavy drinking.
Like they're doing over there. They're doing it over there.
They're eating vegetable oil?
They're heavy drinking.
Yeah. Furthermore,
They're eating vegetable oil down here. We'll show you that next.
Heavy smoking increases death by 80%. So if increasing vegetable oil consumption to account for 12% of total calories, as the study did, increases the risk of death by 62%, then every 5% increase in calories from vegetable oils is the risk equivalent of smoking 7 cigarettes a day. This works out to only daily...
They're the vegetable oil eaters over there.
This works out to only 1 daily teaspoon of vegetable oil, increasing your risk of death equivalent to smoking an additional 2 cigarettes per day.
An additional. Well, I don't smoke any, so that means if I'm eating oil, I'm smoking at least a couple cigarettes a day.
Yeah. So
in terms of a risk factor.
Add a teaspoon of oil to
just
fry
one
up your
teaspoon.
Veggies. You might as well have 2 cigarettes.
Or yeah, if I cut the oil back, I can have 2 cigarettes to kind of make that an allowance. Similar risk factor.
Another major 2016 randomized controlled trial known as the Minnesota Coronary experiment found that the participants who increased their intake of corn oil and margarine had 86% more heart attacks. Additionally, the study found that participants 65 and older had a higher risk of death after 4 years. This was another study conducted to explore the dietary dogma that Replacing saturated fat from an animal source like butter, tallow, and fatty meats with vegetable oil would lower cholesterol and therefore reduce the risk of heart disease. Interestingly, though, the vegetable oil group showed lower cholesterol. They were significantly more likely to die from a heart attack.
Because of the saturated fat levels.
Yeah.
And the acid loads and all this other stuff, cancer causing stuff. But heart attack's different, but still it's all bad.
Yeah.
The gist of this whole thing is it's all bad. If you can find anything good about oil in here, let me know, but I don't think you're gonna find anything.
It's bad. So yeah, just going vegetarian or vegan isn't gonna lower your risk of a heart attack if you're not getting rid of the oil.
That's why I say, do not make the assumption that because you're vegan or plant-based that you are healthier in any way. And this is telling you straight here, oil is worse than animal products, basically, right? I mean, are you feeling that already? Okay.
How many people have to die before we can put the anti-saturated fat dogma from the 60s out to pasture? It's high time that we really eat the healthy pasture-raised animals that our bodies have
Oh my gosh. This is obviously not a vegan article. No. Let me replace that with eat food as grown. Is oil in a bottle food as grown? No. So eat food as grown. Don't listen to this. This is we're trying to get the scientific evidence out. We're just kind of interpreting it in the correct way because it's been interpreted in the wrong way there. But you could interpret it that way, and if you do, you're going to be making a terrible mistake because you're going to be thinking you're doing something better. Maybe on some level you are, but it's like taking something that's worse and replacing it with something that's bad. Yeah. That's all it is.
Only randomized control trials like those detailed above can suggest casualty, but there have also
causality.
Causality.
Right? Casualty. And a casualty, I'm sure, yeah.
But there have also been a number of well-done observational studies that add correlative data to this argument that vegetable oil is bad for you. In the study,
we're going up a hill.
In the study, researchers stated dietary changes over the past few decades in the intake of N6, which is omega-6, and N3, which is PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids, show striking increases in the N6 to N3 ratio, which are associated with greater metabolism of the N6 PUFA compared with the N3 PUFA.
All right, if you want to know why, like for instance, I mentioned this in the book, Live to 150. Some people, Colby has told us, remember he went for his job interview, he was told by people there that vegans that they see at their practice have the worst blood work of any one group of people. You know why?
The oil.
Oil, yeah. That's what I say. You can imagine why your blood work is going to be awful if you're eating this stuff on a regular basis. And I say most people who are exclusively vegan and plant-based are not eating the animal products, which are not as bad from these aspects. They're still bad, okay? They're just not as bad as oil because oil is the ultimate junk food.
From this 2018 study, researchers found that high LDL is only a dangerous marker of heart health in the context of a diet high in omega-6. They also discovered that heart attack patients have a much more linoleic acid in their arteries than healthy patients. There was also a positive correlation between the severity of heart attacks and arterial plaque buildup from omega-6 fatty acids. The researchers concluded, in summary, numerous lines of evidence show that omega-6 polyunsaturated fat, linoleic acid, promotes oxidative stress, oxidated LDL, chronic low-grade inflammation, and atherosclerosis.
All bad, all bad.
And is likely a major dietary culprit causing CHD, which is a congenital heart disease, especially when consumed in the form of industrial seeds, oils, commonly referred to as vegetable oils. On to depression and cognitive
I want to hear this. Oh my gosh, it gets worse.
In this study, using blood samples from 43 participants, researchers found that 6 individuals who met the criteria for major depressive disorder had a higher omega-6 to 3 ratio.
That's right. Yep.
And higher levels of numerous inflammatory markers than those who did not meet the criteria.
So how do you get that? Just become vegan or plant-based, eat foods that have added oil, and don't take any chia or flax seeds. And you're gonna automatically fit straight into there and be depressed. And you're not gonna figure out why, but we already know why. There's obviously a scientific reason for this.
This 2020 study in mice showed that consuming soybean oil led to both weight gain and triggered a gene dysregulation that can result in higher rates of neurological disorders, including autism, Alzheimer's disease, anxiety, and depression.
Ah!
Researchers also found that consuming soybean oil also reduced levels of oxytocin, a hormone responsible for loving bonds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, now listen. Just because someone uses these words of the plants in the form of the oil, like soybean oil, don't think that soy is bad. It's not. Like the plant is not bad, especially not the organic version of that plant. It's great. Okay, in most cases, just use it in a different form, not the worst form, which is oil.
So in other words, soybean oil destroys our ability to love on the level of neurochemicals.
Huh? That's messed up.
Don't eat soybean oil.
Right, well, any oil. You wonder why you don't love anyone and you hate your life? I wonder what's in your food. You keep coming back. It's all about the food. You see, there's a scientific explanation for all this. Whether we figured it out or not, no, we haven't. But we're getting there. Like this is a brand new article. I think it was just updated today. So it's hopefully got the latest information.
Many of the social problems in this country are blamed on a lack of mental health resources. And though it may be true that many people need more psychological help than they have access to, it is equally true that there would likely be far less of a need for mental health resources if we eliminated vegetable oil use on a national level.
Seriously, yeah. Look, consider the article too, the source. This is not even somebody that's plant-based or vegan, as you could tell from what the recommendation was earlier about eating free-range meat, right?
Yeah.
But they're still saying that they think that a significant portion of the mentally ill are the result of the food. And I do believe that's true. People are so blinded and so, we talking about this today, the Farmer in the Dell song, so brainwashed from an early age. That's what it is.
From this 2017 study, we see that the negative neurological effects of vegetable oils are not confined to soybean oils. In the study, mice fed the human equivalent of 2 tablespoons of canola oil per day showed reduced memory, learning ability, and increased weight gain. The researchers described considerable neurological damage and increased formation of the beta amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease.
Holy moly.
In another animal
and
study,
Alzheimer's, by the way, is type 3 diabetes. I talk about this in the book. It's just the same thing as heart disease, only to the small blood vessels in your brains. Same thing as erectile dysfunction, only the small blood vessels in your brain.
In another animal study using baby pigs, researchers found that feeding subjects 1.2% of calories, that's a small amount of calories, from a PUFA found in vegetable oil.
It's very small, yeah.
Led to a healthy brain development.
Wait, the healthy. Okay,
Yeah,
so keep it super small.
1.2%.
Keep it like next to nothing. Because that's what I tell people in my book too. You can do 95% compliant and you can have fun with the other 5. It's not going to make any difference. But the minute you get out above that, what happens? You tell me. I haven't read this article yet.
Well, when the percentage was boosted to 10.7% of calories, the PUFA compromised neural development.
There you go.
Let's consider again that Americans consume an average of 20% PUFA from vegetable oil. What's more, vegetable oil is one of the first ingredients in most baby formulas.
Oh my gosh, and this is an average. If you're vegan or plant-based, you're gonna have probably more than that, right? It's probably the meat eaters and the vegetarians that are gonna get less, correct? So this is why vegans' blood work is worse than anybody else. This is sad.
Yeah. In a study on monkeys fed a Western diet that included safflower oil, the most depressed monkeys had the highest blood levels of PUFAs. More PUFAs means more depression.
Wow. Yeah, and it's like I said also, there's like a myth or word on the street is if you're vegan or plant-based, then you're doing this for your health, man. But it's not, that's false promises. And it's totally being debunked here in this article, which is written by somebody who's not even plant-based or vegan.
Vegetable oil is bad for fertility.
Uh-oh.
Considering that vegetable oil interferes with gene signaling and causes inflammation, it's not surprising that it may negatively affect fertility. A 2020 study looking at the effects of a diet high in vegetable oil PUFA on infant mice determined that a high PUFA diet during early life caused irreversible metabolic remodeling in testes with long-term sperm defects.
My gosh. So it's like for generations, you're gonna have problems.
Mechanistically, our data suggests that HFD promotes a pro-inflammatory state in testes aggravated by a positive feedback system that favors the acclimation on N6-PUFAs, precursors of inflammatory response signaling molecules. Through the authors frame the study in terms of high fat versus balanced diet, they also found that saturated fat has only a positive effect on fertility and was found to accumulate only in the gonads of fertile animals. Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so I guess the fertility clinics would be giving out oil for you to eat, just like the dentists are giving out sugar, right? It's going to boost their business.
Yeah, it helps the females, but it causes catastrophic damage to the sperm of the male.
Yeah, and actually, if you kind of follow fertility and how it's playing out in the modern world, you know, we're below replacement rate now in the United States and in many developed nations, except for immigration. But it's also harder to have boys as babies nowadays than it is girls, apparently, and maybe this is one of the reasons why.
Additionally, metabolic science watchdogs Hadoop pointed out there is no reason why the findings of this study apply to males only. High-fat PUFA diets causes PUFA accumulation just as easily in ovaries as it does in testes. In his opinion, the epidemic of infertility among millennials is a corroboration of that hypothesis.
Holy shit!
The majority
oil
of that generation was almost entirely formula fed and baby formula.
Oreos don't have oil in them, do they?
No, but formula
does. They do. Actually, they do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, the formula has oil, the Oreos have oil. What else has oil? Everything.
So the
oat milk
is even worse than a high-fat diet in this experiment.
Well, animal product high fat, right? I think they're comparing like animal product stuff with the plant-only version, which is the oil version. And yeah, oil is like, plant oils are basically like the devil for vegans and plant-based people.
Pause your video while I take this call.
Oh, yeah.
So if PUFA-loaded formula is best avoided and you're introducing your child to solid food, what should infants eat? Dentist and carnivore diet thought leader Kevin Stock observed that what kids eat today is incongruent with oral health. Most have cavities, most have underdeveloped jaws and crowded teeth and compromised breathing patterns. So yeah, he recommends eating meat.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, so this is a good article. I think this is a great article to get unbiased information because we can debunk their stuff. I mean, I'm totally with them. Like, yeah, don't eat the oil, but don't go to animal products. No. And like, if you're talking about formula, go to breast milk. And the question is, if you can't get breast milk and the mom is not making it, why isn't she making it? Probably something she's eating too. It's like a whole cycle of crap that just keeps going down, and you got to stop it at some point.
We heard from some of our fruitarian friends that the reason why the humans can't fit their wisdom teeth is because we don't eat raw vegetables anymore. And if you did, your jaw would develop to the right size.
Huh. Yeah.
So
Maybe.
weight gain. Carrying fat on our bodies isn't a bad thing. In fact, we've evolved to store energy for leaner times. But since PUFAs are unstable, oxidative, and inflammatory, having too much fat made from PUFA lipids is a key factor in numerous diseases. The studies show that PUFA accumulates as body fat very quickly. In this study on rats, 2 groups received diets with identical macronutrient ratios of fat, protein, carbs, and calories. They differed only in the source of the fats. The group of rats that got their fat from safflower oil showed a 12.3% increase in total body weight compared to the rats eating traditional fats. So in this study, there's another study. Rabbits,
more concentrated form of fat, more concentrated form of weight gain. Yeah, I think I agree.
So all oils aren't the same. Even though they have the same amount of calories, they cause you to get different types of fat.
Oh, I think were they comparing it to different oils, or they're comparing that with eating animal products?
They were comparing traditional fats with safflower.
Yeah, traditional
oil.
fats is like animal product fats. I think that's what they're comparing with, because this is a carnivore article.
All right. There's another study. Rabbits were divided into 2 groups. Each group was fed the same foods. Only difference was how much heat this vegetable oil had been subjected to. The first group received unheated vegetable oil. The vegetable oil of the second group was heated once. The third group got vegetable oil that had been repeatedly heated.
Oh my gosh!
But
that's what you get at a restaurant.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, you're there watching them cooking it. No, they're reheating it and reheating the same oil over and over again. I never heard any restaurants saying, "Oh, we use brand new oil for you guys each time." No, they don't.
The group consuming the vegetable oil heated only once gained 6% more body weight than the group that consumed unheated vegetable oil. And the group that ate repeatedly heated oil
restaurant food,
an incredible 45%
Holy
more weight.
crap.
Though this was an animal study, it is food for thought when considering ordering food fried in a deep fryer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So is vegetable oil bad for you? The bottom line. We're at the bottom line. Yay.
Yay.
When considering...
We thought this would never end. Actually, it probably doesn't end. There's going to be more stuff they're going to come up with that we don't even know about yet.
We'll see. When considering both randomized control trials using humans and animals, historical evidence, and large-scale observational studies, the totality of evidence suggests that yes, vegetable oil is bad for you. Vegetable oil...
We knew that. We didn't know how bad, though. This article has shed some light, I think, on that. Exactly how bad. Worse than we thought.
Vegetable oil has been shown to cause inflammation and disrupt hormone signaling in ways that lead to increased risk of cancer, all-cause mortality, heart disease, depression, neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's disease.
And it leads to getting a headache from listening to all the ways that it destroys you.
Yeah.
And people still eat it.
Impaired fertility, obesity.
Oh my gosh.
It's likely that there are
I've forgotten a few.
factors.
If you asked me to name all the things that it does to you that are bad, I would not remember them all. And I'm a lifestyle nutritionist. I'd have to write them down and keep them somewhere. I have a chapter in the book too on oil. Check it out. I think I don't even mention all these because I didn't know about the fertility thing. This is new.
There are numerous factors that in modern society that contribute to the rise of inflammatory diseases that kill most people across the globe.
Most people. They kill most people, okay?
From the available data regarding lifestyle choices influencing mortality rates, only morbid obesity and heavy smoking are more deadly than vegetable oil consumption.
Okay. I've mentioned this in the book. I'll mention it again. Think about it. It's illegal to quickly kill somebody. But if you slowly, methodically kill them over time, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just, and this does that. I mean, look, oil, they're pretty much telling you, if you eat enough of this on a regular basis, you will slowly but surely speed up your death dramatically, I'm thinking. And it's going to be painful too. It's going to be suffering. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally illegal.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Is that it? That's the end of the article?
That's it.
All right, well, what's your takeaway? I want to hear your takeaway, because you talk about all the time wanting fried Oreos at the fairs, and all this stuff. You know, like I complained before. I went to this restaurant one time in DC. You remember? I ate so much, it was the oil. It was like pushing me out. It was it's like when it gets inside your body, it's like such a substance. Your body can't break it down. It just pushes against all your organs in a way that normal fiber-filled, water-filled, food is grown plants would never do. They can't do it.
Yeah, I will try to cut it out of my
Try.
diet.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have another 6 or 7 kids, so we got to work on the fertility. No, yeah, not for us. Okay, but for anybody else, this is ridiculous, man. This makes sense. The fertility clinics never used to be around when I was a kid. I didn't know about them. In the 70s, were there fertility clinics? Maybe there were, but they were pioneers. Now they're everywhere. Everybody has trouble conceiving. And I thought that it was because people are having kids later in life, which they are, right? For the most part.
Yeah, but
they are.
Being overweight reduces your fertility too.
Yeah.
Some of my friends at work can't conceive.
Okay. And also being super skinny, I think also has an effect on that. You got to be at a normal BMI.
Yeah.
But the oil, I just never considered that's a factor in any of this.
No, me neither.
So, okay, let us know your comments. Of course, like the video if you got some value out of it. Subscribe to the channel. We got like 3,000 plus videos already on this channel, and more every day like this, even though this is like our longest ever for the review and comment on the plant-based news, but I think it's very important. Let me know in the comments below if you think it's important. Pass it along to people. Get my book too. It's free. Live to 150 at liveto150.org. Get your daily aerobic exercise like we're getting. I'm working up a sweat now. We went up some hills. We have walked so much distance in this video, and we're trying to set the right example for you guys, because almost every video I see, it's an interview or a discussion on something, is people sitting down. And sitting is the new smoking too. Sitting is just as bad as eating oil, if you ask me, because that's time you could be exercising or could be getting some light exercise like us and still talking. Can we still think clearly? Actually, you can probably think more clearly because we're exercising.
Yeah.
So, all right, get the book and like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next video. Bye.
Bye.
One last thing, you learn something new every day. Like I said, I learned something new here. Even though I know a tremendous amount, and I never claim to know it all, and I say I don't. Keep learning, and I'm sure that as you learn, you're gonna keep realizing over time that whole plants, food is grown, is the way to go, and it's only gonna become more and more clear over time. That's it, more clear.